International Women's Day.
So
Hi,
cool.
Sandra. Hi, Adriana. Hi, Anne. Hi,
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, ladies. Happy Women's Day.
Yes, happy Women's Day.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited because we launched this incredible book to celebrate the voices of all of you and many other Latinas in the past that have done incredible things. And we're just so excited because we're getting very close to becoming, we're already #1 new release on Amazon. So that's exciting.
Congratulations. Awesome.
And then we are also very close. We're #5 in bestseller for women writers, and we're #5 in women writers and #7 for Hispanic and Latino writers. So we're getting close. So if you guys, all of you that are watching, please help us get to the bestseller so that where representation matters and we have the visibility and the credibility. But it's awesome to have everybody here. Thank you so much for being and celebrating today.
Well, thank you for having us, for inviting us to do this. This is beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Liana, Sandra, and everybody, because,
Yes.
it's just everybody's participation that really creates this critical mass and this opportunity.
Absolutely. We are in this together.
Yes.
So I would like to kick it off to hear from all of you, like why the book, right? Like you've gone through sharing your story. There's some incredible stories. Like I keep reading them again and again because I always find something so powerful in each of your stories. Like how do you feel now that you've sort of started to read some of the stories that this can help, Latinas, and I think every woman out there. Anybody want to?
I was just going to share that I met, excuse me, with one of my mentees. She's a young Latina here. And, it was a great conversation about where did you find the courage to tell your story? And so to the question of, does this do something for those that will follow? I think the obvious answer is yes, meaning, we are trying to be what we want to see, meaning to have the courage ourselves to show our own vulnerabilities and our own growth, but by example, asking others to do the same.
Yes, those are great words, and I would like to share, myself. When I read the first book, when first Ileana actually reached out to me, and I read the first book, I thought like, oh my God, this is so incredible. This, just every single story is amazing, and it shows the courage, the boldness, and the different realities that many of us go through. So when I was given the opportunity also to share my story, I think that basically it is the opportunity for us to be able to learn from storytelling, right? It's just we learn from that. It's proven that cultures, pass on the stories. And I think that if we can pass on all these powerful stories and many others that have not been told yet, that's a way in which we're going to be able to actually impact more people. So I thought like this is great to be able to add one more voice to a different narrative, the narrative that yes, as Latinas we have power. Yes, as Latinas we have, each one of us has a story, but there's a way to actually find a path of success, satisfaction, fulfillment.
Yeah, for me, it was important to see that it helps young Latinas everywhere that they're not alone. Like sometimes you find yourself in this situations or circumstances, and you say, "Well, where can I go? Where how do I look for a mentor? Or am I the first? And why aren't the stories being told? That's the biggest question I always have. Like, why aren't these stories being told? There's so many stories that are told, and the La Latina story is not told. So for me, this was like a beautiful moment to say, your story is being told. And my colleagues who've known me for many, many years in my career, many of them have reached out and said, I never knew this about you. I didn't know that this is your journey. My God, Millie, if you had just told us this when we were colleagues 10 years ago, 20 years ago, what a difference it would have made. But I didn't look back at it that way because I had already overcome those moments in my life. And I was where I was in that particular place. So I think that this is just a continuum of how we continue to build history, because we are part of a history that is hundreds of years old in this country. And that is the part that hasn't been celebrated. And I'm very proud to be standing among you giants because we're celebrating today.
I couldn't agree more with all of you. And it's been so extraordinary to be a part of this. I mean, I got the book and my heart almost came out when I opened up the package on Amazon and saw the book and read the first chapter. And like I texted Ileana right away after I read the intro and I read her chapter. And it literally brought me to tears, because these are stories of women that, I think we're in a society where we all show up and we hide every tear with a smile, and we have to be so strong, and we're the caretakers, and there's so much on our shoulders, and yet we do it so gracefully. And now it's like we get to share the story of like, yes, you only see the post how I made it, but here's the behind the scenes. Like, this is the part, the grit, the grind, the tears, the struggles that we get to share. And I think that's so important for young Latinas, right? Because many times it's like when you see the celebrities, it's like, okay, JLo, she made it big, great. But what we don't realize is like many times the struggles that she had to go through, the nights that, she didn't eat sometimes, like, when she shares her story. So I think having that platform to be real, to be authentic, and for people to realize that it took a journey to get to this point is absolutely phenomenal, so that we can continue to inspire. And for me, my mentor always said, don't thank me. He said, just pay it forward. So Ileana and Sandra, I want to thank you ladies from the bottom of my heart for giving me an opportunity to pay it forward by sharing my story. Because if I can inspire just one young Latina, that she will make it and it will be okay. Even when, you're like, how am I going to survive this? I think that those are the moments that give us the courage. And I just wish I would have had this book in my hands when I was in high school and college. It would have made all the difference in the world. So kudos to you ladies for making this happen.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome, Sami, Erasmin. Silvia, you were able to make it. I know the firewall wasn't letting you.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Heidi.
We were just talking about like how one, vulnerability of sharing all of your stories, right? Because we're putting ourselves out there and showing not the nice things, but also the struggles and the tears and everything, and how that putting our stories out there can help other Latinas see themselves, reflected in their journey, in their struggle, and hopefully give them the inspiration and the empowerment to know that they're not alone on this journey. I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to share.
I'd like to also.
Okay, go ahead, Sammy.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to emphasize the idea of solidarity, right? Because I think that as Latinas, many of us, if we're not, even if we're born here in the U.S. mainland, or if we come from our countries of origin, we are raised in a collective culture, right? Where we all learn, or I could speak for myself, but I know that this applies to all of us, that I grew up in a community that was very tight knit. We want, the older people watched over each other's kids. We knew that in a moment of crisis. I grew up in Puerto Rico, so I've been through Hugo, David, I mean, you name all of the hurricanes, and we always relied on each other, right, to get us out of a crisis situation or to find that support that we might need at any moment. And so then I just feel that coming to the US mainland, I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it's different, right? We are taught to compete against each other and to find ways to succeed, or whatever this construct of success is, right? Here, and in that we lose sight of that collective and that spirit of solidarity that we all grew up with. Again, whether we were born and raised here in the US mainland or not, porque la sangre llama, right? And so where I'm getting at is that in the spirit of making sure that your sisters, right, and your brothers and people from other communities that may feel also marginalized, or that they're facing challenges that seem unsurmountable, I just hope that these stories encourage everybody, to be more supportive and less competitive. And competition is good, but not at the expense of stifling another human being's spirit, right? And sense of dignity. And so that's what I hope, that together, we're modeling this type of behavior where it's like, you can't compete with me because I want you to win. I want you to win too, right? And so that's something, se me paran los pelos, that I think is the biggest gift that I find of this exercise. And I thank you for inviting me to be part of it.
Sandra, you were going to say something. And I also want to say, because Silvia just brought it up, también podemos hablar en español. Esto es en los dos idiomas porque traemos los dos idiomas en el corazón. I think it's just sort of, we get used to doing one way or the other.
Yeah, it's always been a Spanglish environment. I've always told women, como lo sao, how it comes out. Speak how whatever, and it's for me, it's always de los dos. It depends. I could be talking to somebody in English, and even if they're not Spanish, some Spanish will come out in certain statements. So, yeah, that's the environment that we want to cultivate, right? We want to make sure that we're accepted for it and loved, and be able to still share part of that culture with everybody.
Erasmus, how about you?
Hello. Great to see everybody. I don't think I have met everybody yet. I did a little bit with the people that jump on the Zoom a couple of weeks ago, but I echo what Sammy was saying. I think that this book to me was kind of like an exercise to let or allow other Latinas to know that they can find their tribe. And find their tribe is so important, because many times what you're doing on your day-to-day life, especially when you're working to kind of like amplify the voices of multicultural communities. In my case, for example, I work in health equity. So we work very, very hard to amplify the voices of underserved communities and address the social determinants of health. And many times you feel that, there are not many people out there that speak your language, that knows your tribulations, that knows exactly all the barriers that you need to overcome, not only to get to a place where you want to get yourself, but also to help others achieve what they want to achieve. So just being part of this group of women is just a wonderful experience. It's a sisterhood, and I'm really, really grateful to Ileana and to Sandra and to every one of you who agreed to participate in this journey. And I really feel, regarding, the competition part that you were mentioning before, that yes, it's interesting, because in the one hand, when we come from Latin American countries, it's collectivism, that's it. And then you're raised to be part of a group, and you're raised to be part of a family, and everybody's supporting each other. Then you come to the US, and everybody is kind of like, you come here and you learn you need to compete and you need to make it on your own. And that's what you're being told. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to fall behind. And the truth is that the groups that end up having the most impact are the ones that end up having a unified voice. And that doesn't mean that everybody has to think the same way or has to have the same objectives, but maybe you have to have kind of like the same vision for your community, the same vision for your people. And once you start having that unified voice, then people start hearing it and you can really make an impact. So I think it's almost like you need to work on that narrow pathway where you had the collectivism as part of your being, you come here and you build yourself into this idea of you have to make it on your own. And then you work against that narrow pathway and you think, no, there are a lot of people out there that are going through similar journeys than the one that I'm going through or that I want to go through. And if I get together with my people, then I can really not only help myself, but help my community. So it's a journey. I think everybody here has gone through this, and it's an honor to be able to share not only the great parts, but the hard parts of our journeys with the future generation of Latinas.
Silvia.
Voy a poner el desorden, voy a hablar en español. Porque
Adelante.
yo no vivo en Estados Unidos. Yo creo, no sé si soy la única que no vive en Estados Unidos ahora.
En este libro creo que sí, pero en libros pasados,
Okay,
al final del día tenemos miembros en todo el mundo.
Sí, qué gusto conocerlas. Adriana, qué bueno verte. Qué alegría que te vi en leer tu historia cuando me tocó vivir una partecita de ella. Mucho gusto de conocerlas a todas.
Lo mismo, Silvia, un gusto.
Yo estoy en Danone desde hace 5 años, soy la presidenta para Latinoamérica. Justo hoy, esta mañana, me tocó dar una plática al grupo global y me hacían las preguntas obvias. Entonces, cuando te hacen las preguntas obvias, te queda claro que hay mucho trabajo por hacer. Y ayer les contaba un ejemplo que justo ayer tuve una comida. Y era una comida en México, existe una asociación que se llama Con México, donde se reúnen todas las empresas y nos vemos una vez al mes. Pero tenemos por separado un grupo que se llama el Food Group. Entonces, todos los que están en FMCG Food, nos reunimos una vez al mes. Y adivinen qué, era yo la única mujer en la mesa. Entonces, les decía a los señores que eran Bimbo, Jumex, Mondelez, Ferrero, todos los... Y entonces les hago la broma, les digo, cuando llegue el mesero a la primera que le va a pedir su orden va a ser a mí y va a ser primero las damas. Entonces les digo, le quiero hacer un regalo a todos ustedes, machos y muchos, no dije esa palabra, pero lo pensé. Les dije, la próxima vez que hayan en una reunión y que estén sus equipos presentándoles, por favor no digan primero las damas. Ustedes están queriendo ser corteses y lo que están haciendo es poniendo a una mujer en una situación muy vulnerable. Entonces, sus buenas intenciones, guárdenselas para un ambiente social, en un ambiente de negocio. No digan primero las damas. Todos se me quedaron viendo con cara de... Entonces le digo, y cada que quieran hacer un primero de las damas, se van a acordar de mí. Entonces, creo que fue el ice breaking más fuerte que me ha tocado hacer en una sesión. Todos al final de la sesión se me quedaron, oye, gracias por el comentario. Gracias por el comentario. Entonces, dices, bueno, nuestras historias son importantes, creo que nuestras acciones lo son más. Entonces, cómo de estas historias podemos pasar acciones y cómo de estas acciones podemos inspirar a que muchas mujeres también accionen? Yo creo que esa es la labor más importante. Entonces, hoy en la mañana me tocó contar una versión corta de esta historia y no saben la cantidad de mensajes que me han escrito de los Danoners a nivel global, porque decían, Silvia, no es cierto y que fueras la única mujer. Le digo, no, pues sí es cierto. No les estoy inventando eso. A lo mejor los números dentro de la empresa no están tan mal. He logrado ya a nivel Latinoamérica 40% de mujeres en posición de liderazgo. Pero todavía, les juro, hasta hace 3 meses logré eliminar que nos trajéramos el bias del mercado porque seguíamos pidiendo salarios de referencia. Entonces, de repente pedíamos salarios de referencia y mi equipo se sentía muy cómodo porque esa era la práctica. Y les decía, sí, nos estamos importando el bias del mercado al hacer eso. No los convencía, me tomó mucho tiempo convencerlos. Entonces, por eso les decía, son las acciones los que hacen la diferencia, son las acciones las que cambian la dinámica. Y ahí es donde creo que nosotros jugamos un rol muy, muy importante en acompañar nuestras historias con acciones.
Gracias. Gracias por contar la historia. Thank you so much for sharing like that powerful story, because you're right. I think through our stories, it's not only about the connection of, the struggles of what we did, but also of showcasing how we need to shift the narrative, how we need to shift our actions, how we need to normalize, the fact that calladita te ves más bonita is not the belief, right? It shouldn't be the belief. All of these things. O sea que muchas gracias.
Ileana, I think that there's something really, really powerful in all of this as well, because I think, as someone said it, it's not only like Latina women, it's basically women in general, right? I'm in an industry where it's, dominated by men, by nature. And really finding a space for women has been really, really hard. But the fact that, when there is a commitment to really drive the agenda and to take those steps, I was in meetings where they would actually talk about there's no roles for women in sales because it's so rough, right? You have to go to the construction sites, you have to go to all these different places. And sometimes the comments came from women themselves. And we started to change that. We started to show, that women could be in the construction sites. And we have now, even in some countries, we have leaders of the industrial segment who are women. And it's just a fantastic, fantastic way just to demonstrate that, we can be in any space, we can lead in any space, we can do a job in any space, being a woman, and then being a Latino as well. So it's just really, I think that to that point, Sylvia, of actions, we have to demonstrate that it can be done, and then we have to support those choices, right? We have to support those women, because I think it gets to a point where it's not about me, it's about, you, it's about all the others that we can really help in that process.
Adriana, you're absolutely right. I do think that, at least I feel that it's much more my responsibility right now to create the conditions for the future generation. So yes, we can still achieve, and we are in the process of achieving great things. But what really, really matters is how do we create the conditions for the future generation to be not only bigger, but to be less challenged. And it's not only what we do, but I do think that we need to have much more men in these as a rallying cry, having it as a rallying cry. I do think that we don't have enough men. I mean, really, they know what to do. So the conversation is that there's a lot of men that appreciate the conversation, but when it comes to the day-to-day, the bias is so big that they don't know what are they supposed to do. So for me, that's the example of even yesterday. They were trying to be nice to me by saying women first. It was like, well, that's not nice. Thank you very much. Because immediately you expose us and you put us in a very vulnerable situation. And let's be honest, sometimes we give the best comment and then the rest follow. So no, but that it gave them time to think. So, but it's how do we do that with actions for the next generation, and also how do we create the conditions and helping men to help women.
Absolutely.
If I can just share something, because I love, Sammy, what you stated, and I believe that this is so important, this book and the unity of us not competing. And I think that that is such an important topic that this book does, of showcasing all of these stories. And as I was thinking of the message that I would put out today, there's a quote that I think you ladies will love, and it's by Amy Morin, and it says, "Be the woman who fixes another woman's crown without telling the world that it was crooked." And I think that that is so powerful, because we do have to have each other's back. And I think, Ileana, that when I read that, it reminded me of your chapter where you said, be amongst women that they will speak about you, like that they will bring your name into the conversation. And so I thought about that. What quote would I go out into the world today? And that quote, just, Sammy, what you said of, I think it's so important. And I think especially as Latinas, um, just the way the culture in some ways, unfortunately, has been uh, almost been told, like, you have to compete, and it's this competitive nature. And I think for me, like, one of the things that I fell in love with New York was that the women here, and I hope that, like, if I had one wish, would be for the world to be more like that, is that we're not competing against each other. Like, let's use each other's shoulders as a platform to raise each other up, because when one rises, we all rise to the top. And so I love that, and I thought that quote would go perfectly with that. And Ileana, your amazing words in your chapter, where you say, like, make sure you're around women that they make sure they're putting other women out, its names out into that boardroom, and giving ourselves that space to bring each other up and not feel like there's a competitiveness.
Thank you, Lisa. Anne, I'm seeing that you want to share.
No, I was just, as part of International Women's Day, we talked about empowered women empower women. And I was just thinking of, the tenacity thread throughout our stories, and how sometimes that day-to-day fight seems like, it's going to exhaust you, and you're not going to be able to drum that up day after day. And one of the things that I hope the book does for people is to understand that tenacity is among all of us, but also that it's not fully appreciated, that we do have to muster up that tenacity day after day after day to kind of make these headwinds. And to the point of making sure that we're carving out a path that allows for others a trajectory that is less adverse. is my hope is that we lessen the burden, clear the path, and make the future something that's even more than we can all appreciate it could be right now.
Thank you, Anne. And one thing that I think it's important to recognize is, obviously today we're celebrating women, right? And you've all shared sort of these examples. And Silvia, thank you for sharing, something that actually happened today. And it's something that we need to think about, like with every other celebration, that it's not just the one day thing, that it's something that we need to do every day as women, opening the space for other women, being, advocating for ourselves and for others, but also inviting men and letting them know that being allies is not only about supporting, from the sidelines. It's also about how can they have an active approach, in helping create and change these behaviors, these practices, the narrative, on it. So that is something that, I mean, United Latinas, we're here to embrace and to empower and to elevate Latinas. That's our mission, that's our purpose. But we welcome everybody, including men, to help us on that journey. Because Sylvia, you also mentioned that, and I think that's important, right? That it's not just our work, collective work, it's our collective work, all Latinos, men, women, younger generations, allies from other cultures, for us and for the future of all of us as together.
Well, the moment they transition from being allies into actually getting into rolling up their sleeves and doing the work, then they become accomplices, which is even better, right? And so yes, I think that we need to become accomplices of other efforts too in other communities, right? So that way, especially if we find either within ourselves or people that we love and appreciate intersectionality. So there's a lot of that going on too. And so I think that a big, strong encouragement to do that is also part of the equation. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yes, I was reading today, this morning, just about that, where, alliances are great, but once you become the advocate, really it becomes a mission. It becomes part of your agenda. It's ongoing. And this is what it's all about. And, I'd like to expand, Ileana, on your comment that it's about us, but it's about a bigger community. And I think the bigger community also includes finding, mentors and that can support you, that can be, in your same community, but also outside your community. Because I think that that's going to be also very important to propel and to create opportunities outside your comfort area, which would be just the Latino environment, right? You need to step out of the Latino environment to be able to grow, because the pond is bigger out there. So you need to go after those relationships as well. You need to build your brand. You need to be very proactive about really finding those advocates, those mentors in that bigger pool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things, I'm not going to give any spoiler alerts on the book, or spoilers, and I think all these stories are unique. But I think there was a common thread that, at least to me, I found in all the stories, and you've all sort of touched on it. One is that grit, that sense of finding in the end, the ability to not take no for an answer in some way or form, right? Some of us found it spiritually, some of us found it through the example that our mothers or our grandmothers, did it before us. Some of it found it in different, because of our kids or our families. There were different ways, but in the end, it was, I need to move forward no matter what. No is not the answer. I need to overcome. And the other thing is what all of you in some way are touching on, is leaning on others and really making sure that we build that community, not only because, we that's part of our culture, but really, finding mentors, finding sponsors, finding advocates that will help us in the journey. And even though we might think that we're alone, there was always somebody there to open the space, to open the door, to cheerlead us on, to give our name out, for opportunities, to be our guardian angels in business suits, right? That made possible, without knowing it, made possible the ability for us to cross doors that potentially would not have opened in another way. So I think that's an important call to action to all of you out there, to know that you can also become that mentor, that sponsor, that whatever it is to somebody else. So it's not only for us, but it's also how we can open the space for others.
I would like to share what that looks like. right? Because sometimes we talk about mentorship and this sense of comadres, right? Camaraderie and working together for a bigger goal. And so I want to share something that happened just last night. So I'm taking a international procurement readiness program with a fellow business owner here in the Orlando area, and we work in the same space, right? In the same kind of service area. We bumped into each other last night at an event. Her business is 4 years old. Mine is going into its quinceañeros. So I have just a little bit more experience than she does. However, we're both participating in this program and it's wonderful. The graduation is in New Mexico at the end of April. And yesterday she tells me, ay, yo no sé. Yo estaba pensando este año que pasó, just cerrar todo because it's so exhausting. And I said, don't give up. You're taking this course now, right? This is going to open up doors. And she asks me, ¿Tú piensas ir? Are you planning to go to the graduation? I said, absolutely. And you're coming too. And she's like, really? And I said, yeah. And she's like, is it okay if we room together? And I said, absolutely. You cannot not go, right? You have to come. And she says, wow, thank you. You know, I know that we work in the same space. And I said, Mama, when we get that big contract, we need to build bandwidth and we're going to collaborate, right? To deliver and fulfill this bigger contract that's just right there once we both cross that finish line, you know? And so then I just hope that now, since she's a younger business, that as she grows, she's able to also, right, open up doors for other businesses, even if they're in the same space, right? Because there's enough for everybody. Lord knows there's enough business out there to be making.
Thank you, Sami. Carolina, welcome. You were able to join us. And we're almost there at time. But Carolina, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for the opportunity to connect. Sorry, it's International Women's Day, and there's a lot going on, but I just wanted to stop by and thank everyone, not only for connecting, for tuning in, for the beautiful women that I see on this screen, for all being part of this amazing group and creating this sisterhood that it's much needed in our communities. We need the support, we need to connect, we need to create networks of community support, just everything that we speak about in the book. So I'm so proud to be part of the book. I'm so proud to be part of this conversation, and I'm proud to be part of any conversation that involves women, leadership, and just continue running the world. I mean, who runs the world? We do. No, thank you so much.
Sandra, any final words in our final minutes?
May I just
Yeah.
tell you something, guys? Ileana, Sandra,
Yes, yes.
rock. The speed in which you've done this and
Woo!
the quality of the editing and then putting it together. Oh my God. So
Incredible.
to you,
Yeah.
100%.
Ladies, I just want to say something. We talk about guys, right? Like men supporting us. We need men to support us. And my heart is about to pop out right now. I just got a message from one of my friends, and he had texted me on Saturday saying, I am ordering 20 books and I'm giving one to every Latina. And I literally just got the picture of him opening up the box, and he ordered 20 books. So everybody watching this, men, women, if one of us is on here and you know us, come on, order books, because we're making a difference.
That's awesome.
That's so awesome. That is great. Oh my, this proves, that, we can work together, right? Even creating that book in such a short time, when we have our eyes on a passion, on a goal, we can do it. Nothing is impossible when we decide to work together. And I love that some of you brought up that, that competitive nature, right? Throughout this book, like, everybody has a different, unique story, right? All of us, even, everyone has and we are woven together by this cultural, bloodline, right? In essence, right? It's our culturo. It's how we, it's our food, it's our culture, it's our nature, even as diverse as we're all from different países, right? So we're all from different places. But it is understanding that all of us have gone through a journey. All of us have had blocks in front of our way. All of us have decided to say, you know what? I still have to keep going. I still have to keep pushing forward. And that is a reminder for everybody listening and for everybody watching that there is no block in front of you that cannot be overcome. And partnering up and with community and with other like-minded individuals that want to aspire as you do is going to move the ball forward for you in life. And that it just brings me joy, because that is what United Latinas is. It is a collaborative community of women that are go-getters, that are hungry, that are, yes, we have downtime. Life is the ebb and flows, right? There are times when we are high and there are times when we feel low. And those moments is when we need to connect with each other and remind ourselves, we've gone through bad crap in the past. We can get through anything else going forward. So we should be together in unity, pushing each other forward and supporting each other. And that is what this community does. And my heart is always just in love with and thank you to all of you who have chosen to participate in this book and share your stories that are inspiring so many people. And I'm just grateful. And if you guys that are listening don't have your copy yet, make sure that you pick up your copy and support us, and not support us, support your daughters, support your wives, support your women, support your sisters, your aunts, right? We all need to be reminded that we are not alone in this world, and it can happen. We can do it when we work together. So thank you, guys.
And help us become bestsellers. Not a lot of Latinas are bestsellers or authors. So another milestone that we can accomplish. Help us get there. Get your copy today. Thank you, everybody in this call. Thank you for sharing this journey, this 2.5 month journey, because we put this book together in 2.5 months, day and night. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. And this is not the end. We have our summit coming up on March 23rd. So mark your calendars, 3/23/23. We have our United Latinas Break the Narrative Summit, where you'll hear more about the book, more about the incredible advice that all of the women in this call and in the book are going to share. We have other speakers and we have many, many surprises. Please mark your calendars, register in our on our website. There you'll find the registration link. Thank you, everybody. Have an incredible International Women's Day and have a great rest of the month and the year.
See you soon.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations all.
Bye.
Bye, guys.